Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Bridging Impact Podcast, the podcast that is passing wisdom to the next generation of athletes, coaches, and parents to transform leaders on and off the court. And this is our Friday edition of Coach's Corner, where I, Coach Furtado, talk about what is going on in my world, a lot of things that athletes and coaches and parents are asking me, and what I'll give it to y'all. But today is obviously a special episode. We dropped the 50th episode of the interview series of Bridging Impact, and I'm really proud of that because we've been really consistent for over the past year. I think we launched the first Bridging Impact episode the first week of March in 2022, and so that means we really only missed a couple of weeks. Pretty consistently dropped an episode every single week. Have had a ton of guests on, and I can honestly credit a lot of my learnings as a coach and really a leader to a lot of the people that I've had the privilege of having on the show. So just wanted to start out and open with that because we're going to talk about consistency. And I think consistency is obviously, we've heard it before. It's what separates the good from the great. But, for Bridging Impact, it's all about what is our impact. And every single day, if we continue to show up for our people, show up for ourselves, we can have a greater impact. And I want to talk about that now. And I learned a lot about consistency from when I was a young athlete. And obviously, since I really only missed a couple of weeks for posting Bridging Impact podcast episodes, right? That is consistent, right? That's showing up every single week. And, sometimes I barely have a guest. I got to interview a guest and then upload it and edit it and market it all in like one day. And some of that's my doing, and some of it's just the life of a solopreneur, so to speak, when you're working on your own company and it's pretty much all by yourself. So I just want to talk about what athletics did for me, though, with consistency and what it really required. So for those of you that have listened, here and there, I think some of you know that I played basketball and baseball. Baseball came a little bit more naturally to me. I just always, kind of had the hand-eye coordination of a great hitter. But for me, in terms of basketball, I was great in middle school when I was taller, right? I haven't really grown since 8th grade, unfortunately. And so that was kind of a challenge going into high school. And since I played both basketball and baseball, I didn't get an opportunity to play what we call, travel basketball, club basketball, AAU basketball. And so that kind of set me behind my peers. And so by the time I got to about my sophomore, junior year, I had to start really putting in a lot of effort and energy and time into the game of basketball if I wanted to make the team. And as some of you may know, I was cut from the varsity team my junior year. I had the opportunity to play JV, which, here in Los Angeles is more common to have juniors on JV. But, where I'm from, I was thinking, me and my buddy Blake were one of the first people in the program to play JV as juniors. So there's, at that age, there's a little bit of embarrassment and, but I'm grateful for the opportunity. In hindsight, had great coaching with Coach Turk. He actually is on the show. If you want to go listen to that, it's a great episode. He's a women's college coach now. But, I say that because my goal was always to make the varsity team, right? That was my goal. My goal wasn't to be a star on the varsity team. And so after that year, that summer, between my junior and senior year, I really I went to work, right? I went to a great camp, PGC basketball, where I learned how to train. I think that's something that really helped me separate in terms of just understanding, what the work ethic looks like. And I wake, once the school year came, I'd wake up at 5 a.m., then, shower, go to school, to lift, to play basketball. And then after school, I'd either lift, play basketball, and then I'd go home, eat dinner. Then I'd play pickup in the evenings. And so I was just always working on my game. And I just did really whatever I could. I did conditioning consistently every single day. And it helped me make the team. And I was excited. And that's one of probably my proudest accomplishments when I was in high school, not necessarily because I was playing and impacting the game, but because I earned that spot on the team. I really earned it. And I did have an impact on the team by, kind of being that, for lack of a better term, I was a supporting cast. I busted people's ass at practice. I brought great energy. And so that was my role on the team. And that's the impact I had to make. And then that's the consistency I learned that is required to, reach your dreams. And so I always try and talk about that with athletes. And that's, kind of the difference in my programming that I hope to instill in them, is just the understanding that they have to be consistent in teaching them how to create their own plans and go from there. And I want to eventually do an episode on habits, because I think habits is a huge differentiator, and we could do a basketball habits one, because obviously I'm a basketball coach, because there are certain habits that players play with that others don't, that really separate themselves, and you can really tell as a coach who understands the game of basketball and who doesn't, just by those habits. But also there are general habits that all athletes can use and take, taking care of the body. I'm big on the weight room. I know that the weight room, and this is not for the elementary age, maybe you could do some push-ups and some squats, but that's just motor skills. I'm talking about high school level basketball. The weight room is, doing things correctly in the weight room, having a plan is the biggest game changer for athletes in high school. Just because I know a lot of people say, because I'm a shooter as well, right? It affects your shot. That is such BS. If you keep shooting, lifting weights will not affect your shot if you are doing the correct form shooting every single day. So that's a big one. But that's an episode for another day. So as far as consistency goes, it's really, again, athletes, or if you're working with athletes, you just have to understand, right? You have to be pretty relentless in the pursuit of your goals, and you have to be pretty honest with yourself. And you're going to have to wake up at times where you may not want to wake up at times, because that's the only time you have during the day to make sure that you get your training in, right? Because after school you may have a club, after school you may have some homework, after school you may be playing another sport, but hey, you really want to play basketball, and the competition here is great. And I would say, even if I went back to Humboldt, went back to my old high school, I bet the competition is greater then than it was when I was there, because kids have trainers at younger ages. Kids are exposed to the game, and they're not always playing it the right way, but they are very skilled. And so when you are skilled, you always give yourself an opportunity to make the team. And so what separates you from others is that consistency, right? Do you train 2 times a week? Do you train 4 times a week? Do you train 4 times a week once a month, and then 1 time a week the others? It's really, not always about being super inspired and motivated. Actually, inspiration and motivation oftentimes comes from little actions. And I think one of the things that really helped me build great habits was PGC basketball had this thing. It was called like a 30-day challenge. All right. And we've all heard about these before. Actually, with Better World Challenge, it's kind of what I was doing before. If you don't know Better World Challenge, story for another day. But essentially, right, I think I challenged myself to do 30 days straight of ball handling for 5 minutes, right? Only 5 minutes. That way, on the days where I was doing shooting and finishing workouts, I just did ball handling before, then boom, I went into my shooting and finishing workouts. However, all right, if I, let's say it was, a weekend or, a day where I was busy, right? I only had to do 5 minutes of ball handling, boom, go back in the house, do whatever else I needed to do with the family, with the friends. And I will share this one, quick little story before I wrap up, is I went to a wedding during that year between my junior and senior year. And I was so committed to the 30 days of ball handling that I went outside of the hotel, both 2 or 3 days, and just got my 5 minutes of ball handling in. I didn't get any shooting in that weekend. There was no hoops, but I got my ball handling in. And it's that consistency, that drive, that is what really will separate, certain athletes from others to how they want to impact the game, right? That's what I teach people. I teach them how to impact the game. And it's more than just scoring. It's about your effort, it's your energy, it's your consistency. How do you show up in practice? Do you bring energy consistently? Are you high one day, you lifting everyone up one day, and then the next day you're just down? Like that affects teams. If you are a leader, your energy every single day will affect teams. So if you are consistently bringing that good positive energy, challenging people, right, to be their best, challenging people to be great every single day, boom, that's going to be great for your team. However, if you're only challenging them one day, then you're down the other day. If your energy is affected by how you play, that's like, it's a wrap. That's not being an impactful leader. You have to bring the impact every single day. And none of this is easy, right? Being an impactful leader is not easy. It's not a choice. That's not something that everyone wants to do. But if you want to make the greatest impact in your life that you can and leave that mark on your earth, you have to be consistent. So remember to always shoot for greatness and lead for impact. Those are the new slogans. I'll be leaving that out. As always, subscribe on YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can also, go listen to the podcast and, share it with a friend if you find this to be very impactful. And so we just want to continue growing the message. And always you can comment and reach out to me if you have any questions on how to be more consistent or habits to build or other content ideas you'd like me to explore. Coach Furtado out.